Welcome back to We Don't Color on the Dog. We're very fortunate today. We've got Escambia County Superintendent of Schools, Keith Leonard. Keith, thank you for doing this today.
Thank you for having me.
I know last week was a tough special board meeting on the budget. No one wants to raise taxes, but I've gone over the presentation that you made last Thursday, and there's some pretty compelling reasons, some challenges that y'all are facing as a district. Talk a little bit about it, Keith.
Yeah, we did have one of the meetings that we discussed the trim or the truth in millage last week. We have a couple of more meetings coming up before we get to that final passage of what our budget will be for the 25-26 school year. So when you start thinking about what all you have to do with a school district, it's not free. It does cost money when you have 240, 250 buses on the road day in and day out, when you're feeding students breakfast when they arrive early in the morning, and then you're feeding them lunch, making certain that the classrooms that they sit in each and every day have a good AC and or heating system. Buses getting those students to school need to have a bus driver. Therefore, we got to make certain that we have sometimes a bus assistant on those buses. And then the most important ingredient to make certain that you have a good quality educational system is teachers, highly certified and qualified teachers in each of those classrooms. And I don't believe our community expects anything less, but yeah, it's not a whole lot of fun when you have to tell somebody we're going to have to take a little more money out of your paycheck to be able to do so. That's a difficult task, but it's one that I'm up for, and I believe our school board is as well.
Well, over the year, we at the paper, we've covered a lot of what's going on in the school system. The huge challenge with vouchers, the decline in enrollment. And for our viewers, the state money is dependent on enrollment. You get there's certain add-ons as you can get, but the heart of your budget from the state is how many kids you have in class.
Yeah, we call it the FEFP. It's a funding formula for public education in the state of Florida. And it's based on the cheeks and seats, the number of students that you have enrolled in your schools. The only other funding that we receive is through required local effort, which also comes through the state. There is some local discretionary dollars, and then capital outlay money, which a school district is responsible for levying. During the last 5 or 6 years, we've levied somewhere around 1.214. I think we did that for 2 or 3 years consecutively. So even 2 of those 3 years, even though we were levying the same amount of millage, we had to advertise a tax increase because we did receive a little more funding for that. The last time we levied capital outlay at 1.5, you got to go all the way back to 2017 and 2018. So we have done a lot of stuff in our school district to try to weather the storm, but we're at the point now where we've got to make some tough decisions. We are making those tough decisions, but in order to keep our students with a Chromebook, refurbish classrooms, make certain that our school buses are safe and are a good bus to transport students in. You're not just going to all of a sudden decide in 2025 we're going to replace the entire fleet. We have a replacement cycle where it's about 20 buses a year. And those things are important, and really they're important to our families, and I believe they're important to our community.
Well, the buses are critical for getting kids to school. We know that. It'd be great in a perfect world that everybody had a neighborhood school to walk to, but that just doesn't happen. Keith, in looking at this, look at other school districts around the state. A lot are facing very similar challenges that we're facing here in Escambia. They're either closing down schools or they're having to, and even then still looking at having to adjust their millage.
Yeah, the last time I checked, of course, we won't know until we get into the middle of September, but I believe it's 60 of the 67 school districts are levying 1.5 capital mill on their millage rate. For us, it's something that we have to do. We're at that point where it's critical that we make certain that we get that funding for the 36,000 students that are going to show up on August the 11th.
Now, when you're looking at areas where's the most significant cost increase that you're seeing, Keith?
Well, when you look at from a significant cost increase, buses, when you're going to buy buses, those prices have not gone down, and yet you've got to replace them. The cost for electricity and power in our schools, those have not gone down. The cost to transport students as it relates to gas, That is diesel, I should say. That has not gone down. There may be a period of each year where you see a slight decrease in price, but each and every year, the total price for our transportation and those services goes up. We do some things here in Escambia County. We make certain that we get students that live in some pretty treacherous highways. Mm-hmm. We make certain we get them all the way to school. We go above and beyond what is required by state statute, but I think we should go above and beyond to do that. But I will tell you, we've made certain that we've thought through this. We've made certain that we've talked to other school districts, in particular our two neighboring counties to the east, and they've been levying 1.5, whereas we have not been. And in fact, even when the 1.5 levied mills, which is a 0.46 increase from what we've done in the past year, we still will not meet the total millage rate of our two neighboring counties to the east. I mean, I don't want to mention any names. Right. Geographically, you can probably figure that out.
Right. Even from Mississippi, I can.
Yes, sir.
That's right. We can figure. Yeah. When you look at it, it's also, and you and I've talked about this before too, is the school district is now in competition for students, and to compete, you have to have upgrades. You have to be, that is part of what of attracting students is the environment you can give them and the quality of the teacher.
A couple of things that we will be doing with this millage, at least a portion of it, is eventually you'll have a brand new auditorium at Escambia High School. There'll be an auditorium in the works coming out very soon at another one of our high schools. Retrofitting classrooms. As you know, we're trying to look for some places to have some K-8s. Mm-hmm. Well, instead of trying to build a brand new building, if we can renovate and retrofit some of our existing schools where we do have capacity, we'll be able to use this money to either build a new wing or renovate and retrofit those that we do have. And that's in our advertisement to be able to do some of those things I'm talking about. And you're right. In today's time, you've got to be able to compete. And I think it's important for the Escambia County School District to do so. As you know, and you've reported on, the last couple of years, you've seen some significant increases in academic gains. We don't want to do anything that's going to set us back as far as that is concerned. We are going to continue to compete, and we certainly need our community support to do so.
In this week's issue, we're looking at C.A. Weiss, and thank you for talking to our reporter. Because C.A. Weiss still kept its C, but slipped in its total number of points and percentage of points. But Keith, when we looked at it and started, it really points to, I think, the challenges with inner city schools, that the impact of poverty and the impact of the dysfunction of the lives that they have takes a lot of resources. And it's the trust, Impact 100, it's the community partnership. But even with all those resources, it's still a challenge to do that.
Absolutely. And I know it was either the last time you and I spoke, or it was at some point you and I were talking, and I quoted a number to you. And then just today I was looking at the state report card, and in our school district, from the state report card, and I want to say this is all based on free and reduced lunch, 78% of our students are economically disadvantaged as identified in that state report card. And yet a C.A. Weiss, there's several of our schools that you could use as examples. They continue to find a way to reach those students and elevate them to where they can be successful when we get them to that 13th year and they become a citizen here in Escambia County, which is critical. We are an economic driver for this entire county, and we've got to make certain that we're doing the things that we can, that we're within our means to make certain we're meeting that threshold.
And that's really the point of the story for us, was we know how much money is being poured in that school, and we know that it's going to fluctuate, that it's ideal world is every class gets better and the numbers always go up, but they're humans involved. So it's, I've got some brothers that are smarter than others, and they, so their classes are going to be different than others. So it really came home to me in looking at how much we've done in Weiss, but you look what Montclair has been able to, we've seen it. It's just to continue that success, it's going to take a lot of resources from the trust, from a lot of sources to really turn, to really have an impact. And and these families that are struggling.
Absolutely. It takes a community, and whether it be the Children's Trust, the Escambia County School District, Children's Home Society, United Way, all these different partners. I don't want to leave anybody out. They're all critical. And I'm really beginning to see, and I think you are too, that unity among all of those different groups with common ground and common goals to make certain we get where we need to be for these students and the young people here in our community.
Well, and it's a matter of trust. And I think we've got to trust that we know we can make an impact. You know, the heart, and you and I have seen this too. We've seen it where, we could look at Oakcrest as an example. 15 years ago, huge success from an F to an A, and just the wear and tear on the faculty, on the teachers and the administration. I think we learned from that. And I think that's something that the community partnership schools does. We're given a better support network to help it. And I know you're very much aware of how tough it is to keep a culture of success in a school.
Well, sustainability is one of the most difficult things to continue. That's why people work on it all the time. Whether you call it the process, well, the process at times gets stale or people get tired because this is not easy work, but you're going to have 2,500 teachers show up. They're already here. You'll have around 36,000 students show up. We'll have all our support services there to assist. But what else are we supposed to do? I mean, I think about what opportunities education has provided to me and my family and to you and your family. I think the total meals of 5.359 is a great investment for the Escambia County as a whole. I'm very fortunate and blessed to work with the two superintendents in Santa Rosa and Okaloosa. But we also are in competition with everyone, whether it's a private school or whether it's Santa Rosa County. We talked the other day about perception and perspective. You've got to put all of those in check and do what's best for those kids that are in your school. And that's what we're going to continue to do.
Well, Keith, again, thank you for doing this afternoon. Yeah. We'll get this out. I'll share it with you. But I think that people need to understand what's behind these numbers in their real lives, real people, and a school system that needs it.
Thank you for your support, Mr. Outzen. Take care.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.